So did I hear that you have a job with kids? Did you acquire schools? Oh, sorry. Please.
I'm sorry.
I just saw you type for John. Is it a new job?
No. It's my same choir, but I've been working on building them up, and we're doing the band's visit as our musical, and we're the first.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like an
It was on
Egyptian band.
Broadway.
It was the Broadway show in 2016. We're the first ones to get the rights to it. It's kind of crazy. We have a great theater teacher, and we got accepted to perform 15 minutes on a Broadway stage with like top performing arts schools, and we're not a performing arts school, so it's very, very, very exciting. 20 more rehearsals just popped up. It's like it's one of those. So I'm very, very happy for it.
Well, that's
Yeah,
that's
super cool. Thank you so much.
It takes something to build.
Yeah,
It's a different thing to drop it.
yeah, and I was able to maintain the core singers through the pandemic, and we were singing online. We did virtual stuff online, nonstop. And then when we came back, it felt like we didn't really lose much.
Hey.
And then this year, I added a dozen more boys into the choir, and it's great.
That's just
Yeah, it's a good year so far. Thank you.
no,
Thanks.
that's cool to hear about.
Thank you so much.
Like, I don't know, I grew up in music programs in school, and some of them were good, and some of them were awful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's always makes me happy to hear somebody talking with excitement and making sense.
Yeah.
A lot of people put in their time.
Not me. It's impossible, or else I can't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously, it's more exotic when you get away, but people don't know that. They don't know.
Yes.
Super cool.
Thanks. Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Good morning and welcome to worship at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation at Shelter Rock. I'm the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore, and I minister to this congregation along with the Reverend David Carl Olson and the Reverend Jay Brooks, and this year's ministerial intern, our student minister, Errol De Los Santos. So in this congregation, we seek to create loving religious community, encourage spiritual growth, and build a more just and joyful world. And we ask you to be part of that project. We come together to restore the balance of our spirits, and together, we celebrate the joys of life and find the strength to meet our sorrows. Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition which embraces the wisdom of all faiths, values diversity. We use science, reason, and the gifts of the Spirit to explore life's many, many mysteries and our understanding of its meaning. We believe that you need not think alike to love alike. So please visit our website or our welcome desk in the lobby to learn more about this community and Unitarian Universalism. After the service, join us for coffee hour, either online or in person. And on-site, we have a lunch for a small fee, and if you are a visitor today, lunch is on us. All are welcome. I also invite you to these programs and activities here at the congregation during the week. So today, we are full up with things. Our sixth graders from the questing year religious education class are selling Valentines in the lobby after the service. Some of you may have forgotten this task, and our sixth graders are here to save you. Also, our lunch today is hosted by the Green Sanctuary Buildings and Grounds and Land Management Leadership Team. So it should be good and green for you today. At 12:45, we'll have a presentation from the land management team also in the social hall. And at 1 o'clock, there's an artist reception in the art gallery, which is right there. It's a great new exhibit. On Tuesday, there's the Tech and Talk program online, if that's something that really interests you. On Wednesday, there's Crafting Together for Sanity and Community, and that's online also for those of you who aren't quite ready to come out all the time. And on Thursday, you might like to come here in person and learn how to play bridge. It's a great group. They hang out in the terrace room and the ballroom over in the beach house. And then on Friday, the women's group will have several programs. So I'd like you to look online and see what's going on there. And on Saturday, our dramatic readings has an online program in the evening. So there are many things, and you can do them both in person and online. Find your comfort zone, meet some new friends, go to an event that you haven't gone to before, and take that opportunity. So, for today's service, we will hear a recorded sermon by the Reverend Mary Katherine Morn, who's president of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Reverend Morn is actually a colleague and longtime friend of mine. We've worked together before, and it would have been great to be sitting up here with her, but she is unable to be here in person as planned due to unforeseen circumstances. But through the wonders of technology, we will still be able to hear her words. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, where Reverend Morn is president, the UUSC, works with partners all around the world to engage in the work of justice, equity, human rights, and healing. Since its founding mission to save Jewish children and refugees from Nazi-occupied Europe at the start of World War II, the UUSC has expanded its mission to encompass the needs of all the world's people and to ensure a good life for all. This is in keeping with our quest as Unitarian Universalists, and the UUSC serves us well. In this spirit, let us worship together. Let us begin with these words of Psalm 133. How rare it is, how lovely this fellowship of those who meet together. And we light our chalice. Each Sunday, we light our chalice for our religious heritage. We do this for our ancestors who taught us through various religious traditions and by their actions for justice and hope. We do this for our children who are learning the traditions we teach and who learn more from our actions than from our words. We do this for ourselves so that we are inspired to remember our beginnings, reflect on who we are now, and spread our wings as we understand who we seek to become. Please rise in body or spirit, or wear a mask, for our opening hymn, number 155, Circle Round for Freedom. For our words of affirmation and song of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is a sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need. This we do affirm and covenant with each other. Please wear a mask to sing our song of affirmation. Thank you. Please be seated. We'll now take a time of silence, meditation, or prayer. In this moment, we open our hearts and minds to the concerns here among us. We breathe together. Take a breath. Deep, deep and slow. Release it even more slowly. Once again, with intention. Deep and slow. Releasing things you may be holding in, carrying. This is a safe place. Breathe it out. Notice the quiet and the stillness. We have had many hard weeks, and this has been another. It's so painful to see the terrible loss of life due to the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. It is almost unimaginable. For those of us who have relatives there, roots there, or know people who do, we can weep for them. And closer to us, near to us, we mourn with the family of UCSR member Roz Napolin at her death. With Deborah Cotton, whose son, Devin O'Connor, has died at age 33. He was someone who grew up in our religious education program. May they know the love and care of this community in this difficult time. May they know that our hearts are with them and we are all holding them in their grief today. And the Reverend Ann Bancroft, friend and colleague, one-time ministerial intern here at the UU congregation at Shelter Rock, is grieving the sudden death of her husband. I share these words from the poet John O'Donohue, which were shared by the Reverend Parisa Parsa at Dan Bancroft's memorial service in Newton, Massachusetts yesterday. O'Donohue writes, "Though we need to weep your loss, you dwell in that safe place in our hearts where no storm or night or pain can reach you. Your love was like the dawn brightening over our lives, awakening beneath the dark a further adventure of color. The sound of your voice found for us a new music that brightened everything. Whatever you unfolded in your gaze quickened in the joy of its being. You placed smiles like flowers on the altar of the heart. Your mind always sparkled with the wonder of things. Through your days here were brief, your spirit was alive, awake, complete. We look forward toward each other no longer. From the old distance of our names, now you dwell inside the rhythm of breath, as close to us as we are to ourselves. Though we cannot see you with outward eyes, we know our soul's gaze is upon your face, smiling back at us from within everything, to which we bring our best refinement. Let us not look for you only in memory, where we would grow old, lonely without you. You would want us to find you in presence. Besides us, when beauty brightens, when kindness grows and music echoes eternal tones. When orchids brighten the earth, darkest winter has turned to spring. May this dark grief flower with hope in every heart that loves you. May you continue to inspire us to enter each day with a generous heart, to serve the call of courage and love until we see your beautiful face again, in that land where there is no more separation, where all tears will be wiped from our minds and where we will never lose you again. By John O'Donohue. And so I say to those in grief and mourning and loss, may we always be a comfort to one another. May we hold each other with hope. May we know each other in love. Blessed be. I'd like to thank George Weissman, our guest conductor, and our regular conductor of the Young People's Choir. And I'd like to welcome Cassandra Ryan, who's here from the UU Service Committee. So our reading today, for when people ask. I want a word that means okay and not okay. More than that, a word that means devastated and stunned with joy. I want a word that says, I feel it all at once. The heart is not like a songbird, singing only one note at a time, more like a Tuvan throat singer, able to sing both a drone and simultaneously 2 or 3 harmonics high above it. A sound, the Tuvans say, that gives the impression of the wind swirling among the rocks. The heart understands swirl, how the churning of opposite feelings weaves through us like an insistent breeze, leads us wordlessly deeper into ourselves, blesses us with paradox. So we might walk more openly into this world so rife with devastation, this world so ripe with joy.
Perhaps you have heard or read the parable of the starfish thrower before. The tale comes from Lauren Isley, mid-20th century scientist and philosopher, who recounts meeting a person on a beach after a storm which has washed thousands of starfish onto the shore. This person seeks out the living starfish and flings them back into the sea where they may survive. After contemplating the seeming futility of such an endeavor in the face of a problem so large, Isley recognizes the hope and defiance in taking such action. Isley finishes his tale by writing, "I looked back across my shoulder to see the star thrower stoop and fling once more, and then I never looked again. The task we had assumed was too immense for gazing. All about us roared the insatiable waters of death, but we, alone and small in that immensity, hurled back the living stars." I recently visited a natural treasure about an hour outside of Boston, Purgatory Chasm State Park. The park is on land cherished and traditionally protected by Nipmuc peoples, a tribe of now 600 living in Massachusetts. The half-mile-long chasm is a treacherous hike. A slow pace is needed to navigate the incredible scale and danger of the chasm, the stones, large and small, that jut beneath and loom above the hikers. Stone is often considered a symbol of patience and the slow and steady pace of change. Boulders worn by elements and gigantic canyons carved out by tiny streams. I am reassured by the long view perspective of time that is revealed in stone. The stones at Purgatory Chasm, though, offer a different meaning. This immense breach in the earth was created in an instant, a moment of immediate, dramatic, disruptive, violent change. Scientists now believe the chasm was formed by the sudden release of glacial meltwater 14,000 years ago. Change sometimes happens like that. Stone is sometimes shaped by sheer and urgent power in an instant. Right now, these days, that image of change is more resonant than the slow, steady force of a small stream carving a canyon, though both hold important truths. In his reflection on saving the starfish along the ocean shore, Lauren Isley writes, "All about us roared the insatiable waters of death." For me, this line brings to mind the creatures and plants and habitat lost in that dramatic moment of change 14,000 years ago at Purgatory Chasm. Water roaring from above, melted who knows how much earlier and working for who knows how long to find its escape, but forming the landscape in an instant. All about us roar the insatiable waters of death. Isley saw this from the perspective of the starfish's life and his own. We can see it in the indifference of a virus and the intimate violence of racism. We're at a rare time in history when so much is revealed by the rapid change and disruption of this moment. What's revealed isn't anything new. What's revealed is what too many of us manage not to see. Even as we've understood, as Dr. King reminded us, that what affects one affects all, many of us turn away. I believe not always because we don't care, but largely because we underestimate our power. And then often, those of us with various forms of privilege, we get comfortable, and our gaze remains fixed on those truths that soothe us. The shaking of so many foundations around us has forced us to see so vividly much more than many ordinarily see. Horrific inequity, systems designed precisely to maintain the castes among us, the complicity of silence, and the seductive comfort of our perceived powerlessness. The seductive comfort of our perceived powerlessness. These times are urgently calling on us to remember and use our power. That's right, power. Did you know UUSC's mission includes an affirmation of the inherent power and dignity of all people? For Unitarian Universalists, so accustomed to repeating the beautiful words of our first principles, it's easy to read right over that small but significant difference. It's not denying inherent worth, that's implied, but the addition of power is significant. At UUSC, we affirm the inherent dignity and power of all people. The power of compassion that demands our hands and minds and hearts be engaged in fulfilling the promise of human dignity and worth. The power of faithful imagination, the refusal to give in to the cynicism and powerlessness that tyrants and empires depend upon to thrive. These times are urgently calling on us to remember and use our power. Can you see it? Your power, can you feel it? Sit up a little straighter, take a breath. Can you feel your power? Not always, right? I know that's true for me, especially these days. These days, I'm feeling pretty small, less able than ever to accomplish anything. The roar gets inside me and I feel alone. I feel so much fear and grief and powerlessness. Okay, shake that off. I'm not going to ask you to deny those feelings, but I really hope we can all come to see something more. We've come here today because we know that religious community will hold us when we feel small and alone. Community will call us back to the power that we each carry, that we recognize in each other, that is called out from us in community. We show up, we are here together today because we believe that ministry, our shared ministry, will comfort us and confront us, will call us to our power. I invite you to call the name of someone who has reminded you of your dignity, your worth, and your power. And now call to mind memories of the power that has arisen from communities you are a part of, from this congregation. Prophetic witness in the larger community, calls for justice and healing, actions that were part of movements that brought about actual change. Friends, you have what you need to create a better world. We have what we need to enact courageous change. I'm inspired when I see this in communities and congregations. I am also deeply inspired every day by the fierce power of the grassroots partners who are the heart of UUSC's mission. We believe and know from experience that partnering with communities most deeply impacted by injustice is the most faithful and the most effective way to contribute to a better world. This is what UUSC's Guest at Your Table program has been highlighting for decades, offering us the chance to learn more deeply the stories of 4 of our grassroots partners. These guests invite us each year into more profound solidarity with them and the communities they serve. Our partner, Axel Fuentes from the Rural Community Workers Alliance, or RCWA, is organizing food processing factory workers in the Midwestern United States, building coalitions through organizers that speak the language and know the culture of the workers they collaborate with. Together, they are tapping into their power to demand safer working conditions that honor everyone's dignity. Axel says, UUSC's support has been one of the most important pieces for RWCA to be able to survive and make progress as a grassroots organization in the fight for the rights of all people. Myra Doggipa is a member of the Karen ethnic minority and director of the US campaign for Burma. She's drawing on her experience as someone targeted by the Burmese military junta as a child to bring attention to the crisis happening in Burma today. She advocates for Burmese ethnic minorities and pro-democracy demonstrators with a vision for a peaceful country that has achieved a true democratic state where the power lies with the people, not with the military, and a country that finally realizes that inclusivity makes us stronger. Our partner, Maina Talia from Kio Island Community Organization in the South Pacific, is working to make the communities of Kio Island resilient to the forces of climate change for the sake of future generations, and to serve as a refuge for those living on neighboring islands with even lower elevations. The island must provide agricultural support, moral support, and have climate-proof structures to ensure the continuity of our people, Maina says. Our vision is to build community resilience. UUSC is especially honored to be working with the Kio Community Organization as their first funder. Our last guest this year, Christian Guzman Merlo, is the co-director of UUSC partner Fundación Entre Mujeres, or FEM, organized by and for rural peasant women in Nicaragua. FEM is both a feminist farming collective and an advocacy network, linking 21 communities to bolster the economic, political, and social empowerment of women. The intersectional approach of FEM, seeing the connections between healing the land and healing the wounds of violence against women, offers a profound and necessary model of justice for the world. Christian shares that what FEM wants is a collective transformation in the communities of this country and all over the world. I am so grateful for what I learn every day about fierce power from UUSC's grassroots partners, such as Axel, Myra, Maina, and Christian. People who experience the intimate violence of oppression every day and still know their dignity and power. People who lead the way in enacting courageous change. These times are urgently calling us to remember and use our power. Friends, we have what we need to contribute to creating a better world. I want to thank those of you who are connected with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee through our shared work for justice and with your financial support. UUSC is a member-supported organization that receives no funding from the UUA. We cannot do this work without you. I hope that today's service inspires every one of you to become part of UUSC's justice-loving, justice-seeking community. In closing, I'd like to invite the voices of some of my UUSC colleagues to share a little more about the work we are doing in collaboration with you, our UUSC supporters, and our grassroots partners around the world. Thank you for inviting a guest to your table and supporting this important work.
UUSC is an international human rights organization. We're grounded in the principles of Unitarian Universalism and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. At UUSC, we seek to advance human rights, dismantle systems of oppression, and uphold the inherent dignity and worth of every human being.
Founded in 1940, UUSC addresses the needs of people who've been ignored or overlooked, working in places where the larger aid agencies often do not.
We are committed to building upon a legacy that is rooted in locally led initiatives, working hand in hand, eye to eye, and heart to heart with community leaders and grassroots organizations in the United States and around the world.
Today, UUSC has over 30,000 members, partnering with more than 40 grassroots organizations. Our programs span across 20 countries in Asia, the South Pacific, Central America, and the United States.
We do our work in 3 ways: through advocacy and action with UU congregations, UUSC members, and our incredible volunteers; through education and experiences with the UU College of Social Justice; and through grant-making, convenings, and collaborative research.
With our partners, we address human rights issues including disaster justice, emergency relief in the face of natural or human-made crises, climate action, working with communities who are losing their homes due to climate change, and criminalization, partnering with communities who are targeted simply for their activism or being who they are: immigrants, LGBTQ people, and ethnic and religious minorities.
And this past year, we have been working with our grassroots partners to meet the unique human rights challenges presented by the COVID-19 crisis.
We know that UUSC members expect us to always be learning and be bold in our programming and our commitment to human rights.
We want you to have confidence in our work. UUSC is a terrific investment for your philanthropic support. Our budget goes far to accomplish so much for human rights in the U.S. and around the world.
And for 10 years running, UUSC has earned 4 stars, the highest possible rating from Charity Navigator, because of our effectiveness and fiscal transparency.
It is an exciting time at UUSC. We are grateful to you and to all of our members for your partnership and for putting your faith in us. You make our work possible. Thank you.
Thank you, UUSC supporters.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much for your support.
And thank you for putting your faith in us.
For all that you do to advance human rights.
We really appreciate it.
We couldn't do the work we do around the world without you.
Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, thanks to Mary Katherine Morn and the staff of the USC, you know who they are and what they do, and we invite you to give an offering today, which will go to the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Every Sunday, we take a special collection to support nonprofit groups that serve human need, and this month, our offerings will go to support the USC. The USC is a nonprofit, non-sectarian organization affiliated with the Unitarian Universalist Association. It provides disaster relief and promotes human rights and social justice around the world through working with grassroots partners in collaboration. You can make your payment through using a QR code, if that's your thing. You can text, you can use PayPal, you can go to the Shelter Rock website, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and write a check or put cash in the box in the lobby as you leave the room. Please give as generously as you can. Thank you. And now we will have our closing hymn. It is hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. And you may not know this if you're not using a hymnal, but the text to this hymn are the words of the Reverend Mary Katherine Morn. And these are the closing words which Mary Katherine would have delivered today. May we each find moments of renewal in the coming days and months. May our beloved partners laboring on behalf of refugees and of the earth itself feel the power of our love and commitment, lending them strength. May all those in harm's way be protected and know the goodness of what can be in this life. And may we continue to grow collectively as a people as we vision a new world into being. May it be so. And now we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.